icy wind burns and scars, rushes in like a fallen star through the narrow space between these bars, looking down on prison grove.
When I first started using it, I had a family, I had a job, a car, and then over the years of using, I lost all that. I lost my missus, I walked away from my children, and my relationship with my parents wasn't good.
It started off as quite fun for me. A lot of drinking with friends, using with friends, and the drugs started to kick in. I became quite a violent person, and that led to a lot of prison. Like, I spent a lot of my life in and out of prison.
I was a totally different person when I put a substance in me. I wasn't a nice person. I harmed a lot of people who I loved, who were close to me. It totally changed me. I believed that I was worthless, that I didn't deserve better, and this was how my life was going to be.
I did believe that that's who I was. I'd created this person, this persona. My attitudes were, yeah, I've done lots of prison, but you know, it's part of who I am. When I come out of prison, I knew that I wanted to stop. I knew then this isn't working for me anymore. My life isn't going as it wanted. All I've ever done is go to prison. And I had my daughter. I had a little girl in 2011. I went to prison when she was 3 months old, and in 2015 when I got out, she was 4, and I saw that as when I wanted to stop, because I missed out on 4 years of her life.
I've grown up around the environment where you don't show emotion, It's a sign of weakness to show emotion. I was scared. I didn't know how to live without drugs. I was getting a lot of emotions what I didn't know how to deal with, and I didn't know how to speak about them, to communicate about how I was feeling.
I committed another violent offence, and that one, it hit me differently. That sentence, what I'd done. I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror, never mind try and change any of my behaviours. This hanging over me, and I just wanted to stop, but I didn't know how to.
I didn't want to live. I didn't want to keep hurting the people I love. I didn't want to hurt myself anymore. I couldn't live like that anymore. I'd had enough. I had had enough this time.
Well, same old Bobby, same old beat. Well, yeah, they got nothing on me.
I think it was going on the courses with Acorn and speaking to other recovering addicts. I think it was Sean Aran. I could open up to him. I felt I could trust him, and that was a big turning point for me, because I didn't trust many people. I didn't trust myself.
It's about building relationships with people. It's about building trust with people. I think it's about connecting to a person on a human level.
I got that little bit of hope that, because I was seeing it, people were getting clean and staying clean, and I just thought, if they can do it, maybe I can do it, I
could see that he wanted it, Phil, even though he couldn't stop using, because I remember being in the same position myself. Things started to change in my thinking, but still carrying on using, but still wanting it, but just not quite knowing how to get it.
The turning point for me was when I realised there were a way out. There were a group called Ramp. The fellow were in recovery himself. He'd used exactly like me, but yet he was clean, and he was coming into a prison to try and help other people. And for me, there was just something in that, and I wanted what he had.
Having that life experience and me being able to work on that level and engage someone on that level and have that authenticity, it sort of meets them where they're at, and they can see from me that I know what they're on about.
For people to see someone who's shared very similar life experiences to them, been around the same kind of people as them, behaved in the same way as them, felt the same pain as them, and is here trying to instill hope in you, to tell you that it doesn't have to be like this. You know, there's a way out.
And I realised that was a safe place for me to go and say why I were using. You know, I couldn't go out on a wing in prison where there's all that front and all them old behaviours of everyone else, and start being honest about where I'm at. But I realised that in that room you could.
I was a bit scared at first because I didn't know how to live clean. I'd not been clean since the age of 10, so there was a lot of fear around it. The motivations were I just wanted a better life for me and my family around me. I didn't want to go back to that animal level living, as I call it.
You know, I ended up clean. I'd never been clean in prison. Never. That was a strange experience for me because I'd done a lot of prison, I'd done a lot of time, so I knew everybody. Everybody knew me. I'd used with everyone who I was now living with on a wing. And I found that people were supportive of it, which I didn't expect. And I think it gave other people hope as well. And like I started supporting other people who were in the exact same position as me.
I think people fail because they've not got the right support. Sometimes when you get released from prison, going to an AP or something like that, everyone's normally bang at it, and you're easily led by people. Well, I was easily led by others. The underlying problem with me, which is with addiction, treat that and it's pretty likely that I probably won't re-offend.
Probation wanted me to go to a hostel rather than Acorn. So part of the process of getting them to come round to let me hear was sort of explaining actually what's going on here. Their needs are taken care of, which means like curfews. They wanted curfews and, you know, monitoring for drink and drugs and stuff like that. Once I explained that side of it were taken care of here, but also I'd be working on myself and trying to better myself, then they were very supportive of it.
What's on offer is sort of the blueprint for a new life and a safe sort of warm environment where expressing yourself is not just sort of possible, but it's positively encouraged.
I think you're selling people hope, aren't you, as well? Trying to help people to believe that, you know, that potential in them, that maybe I can do this. I used to say that in group often. You know, one of the things I find most frustrating about working with you lads in prison is that you can't see your own potential.
I thought, this is it, this is your shot, you know, and that's exactly what I'd been waiting for all them years.
I was shocked how different it was, even though a lot of people had come from the prison environment. They were very supportive, and it was a bit strange at first because I wasn't used to people being nice to me, you know. So
we're very person-centred. That's something though that we're really mindful of, really, because, you know, it's not necessarily one size fits all. So we wouldn't necessarily look at their charge sheet and stuff, and, you know, when they come in, and we actually sort of get to know the person.
My release date came round and I ended up going to Acorn House in Levenshulme. And for me it was like the world had sort of wiped my eyes with a cloth. And like I'd opened my eyes and said, wow, there's a whole life away from drink, drugs and crime.
They've guided me and they've helped me massively, but it's not been forced, you know, it's been left with me to decide my form of recovery.
You know, we don't tell people what to do. In fact, I emphasise that it's your choice, but I think you're trying to highlight to people that there is a choice, that it doesn't have to be like that.
People talk about, you know, saying sorry, things like that. I spent all my addiction apologising for my behaviours and apologising for the things I've done. But now, I think I'm proving that.
I like myself a bit today. When I first come, I didn't like the person Phil was.
I was with Phil the day he arrived, and his mum was here and his daughter and stuff, and I stood there and I seen that hope in her eyes.
She's made up, you can see it in her face, you know. She used to say to me, I like it when you're in prison because I sort of know you're safe, you know, and it's a bit sad that really, isn't it?
Making amends and making things right, it's just by doing the right thing now. I think about my kids when it comes to that. you know, because I let them down, both of them. I haven't had a dad in the younger days because he was away in prison. But now, every single day I'm proving that Dad's here.
I'm undoing some of the damage what I've caused over the years, you know, especially to my children, my daughters especially, my daughter's face. You can just hear it in her voice, and she's even said it. She said, I've got my daddy back now, you know, and that's just beautiful. It's, makes me nearly well up every time I say that, you know.
If anybody's sat in prison now, watching this, I think my advice would be that there is a way out. It's a better option than going back out to the madness.
There is a way out. There is people recovering from drugs out there, and there is a better life. I'm not going to say it's going to be easy, but I'm going to say it's going to be worth it.
It seems like I've been